President Trump has just thrown Washington into turmoil on multiple fronts. Within the span of a few hours, he slapped shocking new tariffs on foreign films and imported furniture prepared to present Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with a controversial Hamas-Israel peace plan and summoned the top 4 congressional leaders to the White House as a government shutdown looms. MSNBC White House correspondent Hillyard was on the ground when the announcements came. He reported that Netanyahu is expected at the White House shortly, marking his 4th visit of 2025. Their last meeting in July centered on tentative peace discussions. Since then, Trump has floated a 21-point plan at the United Nations that would place Arab security forces in Gaza while removing Hamas entirely. Now, according to Hillyard, the president intends to present this plan directly to Netanyahu. Cameras may capture a press conference or Oval Office session, but Hillyard stressed that the stakes go well beyond optics. Trump has publicly urged an end to the war, yet he has repeatedly deferred to Netanyahu's positions, raising questions about whether he will truly push Israel to act. Hillyard also noted that today's schedule is stacked. Just hours after Netanyahu departs, Trump is set to meet with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries from the Democratic side, alongside Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune for the Republicans. The deadline for a shutdown is only days away. And into this tense backdrop, Trump announced 2 new tariffs, one imposing a 100% duty on foreign films and another targeting imported furniture. Hillyard pointed out that the details are murky. How do you even classify a foreign film when productions are spread across multiple countries? What about U.S. companies with overseas shoots? These unanswered questions reinforce a pattern. The president often unveils dramatic tariffs with little clarity, ensuring they dominate headlines even before the details are worked out. MSNBC senior Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitali explained what the congressional meeting means. She underlined that the timing is late, with the government just days from running out of funding. Many House Republicans are still away from Washington, while Jeffries has already called Democrats back in case a vote is needed. Vitali said Republicans insist on a clean funding bill, but in the Senate, they can't reach 60 votes without Democratic support. That gives Democrats leverage, and they are using it to demand protections for Affordable Care Act subsidies. Those subsidies are set to expire at year's end, and without them, premiums for health coverage could rise sharply. According to Vitali, even Republicans acknowledge this risk heading into the midterm elections. Speaker Johnson has signaled he may be open to a negotiation, but Republicans prefer to pass a short-term bill now and revisit health care later. Democrats reject that timeline. They see this moment as their only chance to secure protections for families, health care costs before millions of Americans face enrollment decisions in November and December. Vitali made clear that the fight is not abstract. It is about the affordability of health insurance for households nationwide. MSNBC political analyst Brendan Buck, who served under Republican House Speakers Paul Ryan and John Boehner, brought a dose of realism. He argued that Republicans are not feeling heat right now. In shutdown fights, the side demanding concessions almost always loses politically. Buck predicted Democrats may posture for a few days but will eventually give in. He reminded viewers that past shutdowns rarely alter political fortunes in the long run, but they do create real pain for workers and families who depend on government paychecks. Buck also pointed out the contradiction in Republican strategy. Johnson vowed to end short-term continuing resolutions, yet the party is now pushing another 6 or 7 week patch. That exposes the lack of a long-term budget plan. For Buck, it is a frustrating but familiar cycle: deadline brinksmanship followed by a temporary fix. Former Democratic Congresswoman Donna Edwards countered that this moment is different. She emphasized that in March, Democrats caved without securing concessions, but now the landscape has shifted. Edwards said health care costs give Democrats a clear, urgent reason to fight. Families are about to choose coverage plans, and without subsidy guarantees, premiums could spike. Edwards also pointed to looming Medicaid cuts and warned that 300,000 federal workers face furloughs if the government shuts down. In her view, this is not about political theater. It is about protecting pocketbooks and public services. Edwards placed responsibility on Trump, noting he canceled and rescheduled meetings, then waited until the last minute to convene leaders. She argued that this is not genuine negotiation, but spectacle designed to shift blame. For Edwards, Democrats cannot simply endorse the status quo when healthcare affordability and jobs are at stake. Together, the perspectives of Hillyard, Vitali, Buck, and Edwards show the White House at the center of overlapping crises. On one track, Netanyahu faces a U.S. peace plan that could upend Gaza's future. On another, congressional leaders confront the reality of a shutdown just days away. Over it all, Trump tosses in surprise tariffs on films, on furniture, that create new uncertainty for global trade. The risks are enormous. If Netanyahu rejects the plan, Trump looks weakened on the world stage. If subsidies expire, Americans face higher healthcare bills. If the government shuts down, hundreds of thousands lose paychecks. And if the tariffs stick, industries from Hollywood to home goods brace for chaos. The next 48 hours will decide whether Washington produces a deal or whether the U.S. enters yet another shutdown cycle. And behind it all is Trump's governing style, relentless disruption, bold moves without details, and a reliance on crisis to maintain control.